everybody, welcome back. I hope you are doing really well. Today I'm going to be discussing the common mistakes people make when purchasing a wheelchair. Some of these mistakes I have made myself, some of these mistakes have been written in to me to share with you all. So thank you so much for taking part. Now, choosing a wheelchair is one of the hardest things to do as a wheelchair user. When you first need to use a wheelchair, you don't really know anything, like how wide is it supposed to be, how tall is it supposed to be, where are my hands supposed to sit, how heavy should it be rigid, should it be folding? There are so many things to consider. So the most important thing is to speak to a professional. Here in the UK, it's best to speak to an occupational therapist, work through with them. They will assess your needs and what works best for you. Every time I have chosen a wheelchair, I have spoken to an occupational therapist first. Make sure you agree with what they say and speak up and take someone with you to an appointment when you go and see them, especially if it's your first wheelchair and you don't have a clue. Make sure you do your research. As I said, there are so many wheelchairs out there, so many different companies that you can choose from. Even if you're getting an NHS wheelchair, because there are different makes and models available on the NHS. So research is key. We are so lucky in this day and age that we have got amazing resources online. We can speak to other wheelchair users from all over the world. Even when I got this wheelchair in 2016, I was just starting my Instagram and there was hardly any search results for the hashtag wheelchair, like 100 search results for the hashtag spinal cord injury. So it just goes to show you how much that we have progressed over the last 3 years even. At the time I felt this wheelchair was completely perfect. But now, having seen all these products that I'm able to see because I'm online all the time and because of what I do as well, I've been able to think, oh, actually, I think I'd go for this and that and the other. And another great website to check out is Review My Wheelchair, because lots of people give real advice, real reviews on their wheelchairs. Before the sales reps have come out to me, they've asked me over the phone what kind of thing am I interested in, what kind of thing do I want, and then they'll bring a selection of chairs to your home, and I was able to try out a few of the chairs and I instantly fell in love with the chair that I am in now. And as soon as I saw him rolling it up the drive, I thought, that's the chair for me. And don't always feel like you have to go with the first company. When you are going to choose a wheelchair, try and take someone with you. They can hopefully guide you in the right direction. You can bounce ideas off each other, maybe think of things that you haven't thought of, and also get another idea and sort of feel for the company as well. I would say, with my airy-fairy woo-ness, go with your gut instinct. Don't rush into anything. Sleep on it, have a think about it, go on that gut. You'll thank me later. Don't be pressured into pushy sales people. If they are pushy and pressurizing you into getting something, roll away. It should be what is best for you, not what is best for them. Now, something else that came up quite a lot was not having push handles and not having push handles at the correct height. I often think, I don't want push handles, I can do it myself. Well, I've got news for you. I get really tired, I have hypermobility, and I need a push every now and again. And if I went to Disney, for example, there's no way I could go up all of the slopes to the rides and places like that. I need a helping hand. So I am so glad I got push handles. Push handles aren't necessarily cheap. I think these push handles were about £100 or so. Then the other thing to add is that they do add a little bit of weight, maybe a few hundred grams here or there, but every little counts. These push handles that I have got on my wheelchair are fantastic because they move up and they move down. So my dad, who is 6'4", can push me quite comfortably, and DB, who is like 4'6", can push me very, very comfortably. Also, if I don't want to be pushed, I can either take them off completely or fold them down like I have done here. People get the message that way sometimes. What I was seeing was some people are having push handles that are fixed onto their backrest. Well, that is quite tricky because the push handles are only going to be at the level of your backrest. And as you can see, my backrest is sort of mid-height, which is quite low. Sean would be hunched over pushing me if my push handles were here. Adjustable push handles is a good option, and really think about it. This leads me on to a really other great point, is when you're choosing a wheelchair, think about how your condition could potentially change over time. I know some people who are choosing a wheelchair may have a degenerative condition. Think about how your condition may be in 5 to 10 years' time and take that into account. So, for example, you might be absolutely fine to push yourself at the moment, but in 5 years' time, you may need those push handles. Now, this was an interesting one that came up, and I can't remember this far back, and if you can help elaborate on this one, timestamp it and comment it in the description box, because I think this is quite important. Someone said that they got measured, fitted and chose their wheelchair while they were in hospital, which was a big mistake because you don't really have an idea of what you need at that particular time. And also, if you are freshly injured, your condition may potentially change over time. I was thinking about this one, and what I would do if I was in that position was maybe go for a wheelchair that I think suits me, but not go and spend a real load of money on it. Get to know what your needs are, get a basic chair so that you can kind of try it out for a bit and see where you are in a couple of years' time before you move on to a wheelchair that is slightly better. This one I was very careful to make sure I didn't get wrong when I got measured for this chair. Always take into account when you're getting measured for a wheelchair how thick your cushion is. Some cushions are a lot thicker than other cushions, so make sure you either take your cushion with you or you know what cushion you are going to need, because the difference of 3, 4, 5 inches is huge. Side guards. Do you need side guards or don't you need side guards? Obviously, I'm not going to say if you need side guards or not because I can't comment on your condition. However, every single chair that I have had side guards. These are these things here, and they protect my clothing from the wheels, and they are fantastic. I don't find that they get in the way of transferring. As you can see, they're only probably about an inch higher than my wheels. This wheelchair here, come in a bit closer, the side guards actually go up, so you could transfer across if they get in the way. I wouldn't have a wheelchair without side guards. One that came up quite a lot, which I think is a really good one to share with you, is a lot of people were saying, I wish I had ordered my wheelchair sooner. I know it's a big step choosing a wheelchair, and I know it can be very, very scary and something that you may not feel like you're ready and you want to do. But my advice would be, don't look at the wheelchair as a negative thing. Look at it as a positive thing. It can save energy, it can help you with your pain and fatigue. I have lots and lots of videos on my channel about the positives of using a wheelchair. So if you're thinking about it and you really do need to use a wheelchair, take that into consideration. Now, this is one that I really did struggle with, and that is the backrest height. I have back problems and I'm quite weak, and I have my hypermobility and I always thought that I needed a high back. Now this wheelchair was my wheelchair from 2008 until 2017. Had a full high backrest and it was adjustable. Now, a little story for you. This wheelchair fell off a train and got mangled. While this wheelchair was being fixed, I borrowed a wheelchair, and his wheelchair had a low back. And I actually, for the first time, I was like, oh my god, I don't need a back. This is so much better not having a backrest. This width that I've got here is absolutely perfect for me because I feel free here, like when I'm wheeling and doing all of those kind of things, but I can also sort of lean back and go. You could go for an adjustable backrest. As I said, this one does go up and down. Another thing people were talking about is if they need a curve in their back or not. It's definitely something worth talking about with an occupational therapist or someone who is trained in that area to guide you a little bit closer. Quite a lot of people regretted getting their wheelchair in a colour and having it painted. They weren't necessarily disappointed with the colour. Someone said that they loved their pink wheelchair, but over time you get scuffs and you get marks and the paint starts to chip. So it's always a good idea to think about how that may age over time. With this carbon fibre frame, I've been quite lucky. There aren't that many scrapes and scraps, and if they are, they don't show up so much. However, I have got these stickers on the wheelchair that are kind of peeling off, which I really don't like the look of. Armrests. Quite a lot of people were talking about armrests, whether they needed them and how they worked and how they fit. Now, if you speak to an occupational therapist and you kind of speak about it and you decide that you do need armrests, think about how the wheelchair collapses. Think about how you're going to transfer, if they can move, if they can come out, and all of those kind of things. It's definitely something to really look into. I would say this is super important. Check that your wheelchair is going to go into your car or the person's car that you go out in quite a lot. If you use a car, first thing I did was to check that I could get it in and out of my car and made sure that it fitted in the boot as well for when we're all out as a family. That is really, really important. Then over at Adapt to Perform and Accessible Adventures, they both flagged up this kind of option, and that is to have either an adjustable wheelchair or a completely fixed frame wheelchair. So an adjustable wheelchair is one like myself, so the foot plate I can change if that goes up or down. I can change the centre of gravity. There are lots of things on this chair that can be adjusted if I want to, which I'm quite glad about because I had to adjust the foot plate height. However, some people who know exactly what they want, they know exactly how their chair needs to be set up, may want to go for a fixed frame wheelchair. Now, if you can do this, this is great because it's really, really going to cut down on the weight of the wheelchair. However, you've really got to know what you want because nothing will be able to be adjusted because it will all be welded. Get everything in writing, everything that you have agreed, everything that you've discussed, all of the prices, everything. The most tiniest, incy-winciest details, make sure you've got that because when your wheelchair is being manufactured, you can check to see what was said and make sure that it all marries up. Also, keep track of the cost of things. You'll have a big list because everything costs, from the casters to the push rims to the backrest to the cushion. Every single add-on adds up and it all adds to the cost. Make sure you've got that because then you can check up against the final invoice to make sure that it's correct. So the last one is a piece of advice from myself. Quite often on wheelchair websites you'll see 4 kilograms. This wheelchair is only 2 kilograms. This wheelchair is 7 kilograms. It's the lightest one in the world. Fantastic. Just remember that that is the frame completely on its own with possibly no upholstery, no cushion, no wheels, okay? One of my spinachy wheels weighs 2 kilos, so that's added 4 kilos already. Then you add your cushion, that's about 500 grams. My grippos together, they weigh about 1 kilo. Then you add in your bags and everything like that. So when it all adds up, okay, you think you're buying yourself a nice lightweight 4 kilogram wheelchair, but add all that stuff on and it may come to 8 to 10 kilos. So always bear that in mind, and make sure to subscribe because in next week's video, I'm going to teach you how to do this. Woo! Yes, we're going to learn how to do a wheelie and how to hold a wheelie and go backwards and go forwards and do all sorts of wonderful things. Now, I have done this before in my masterclass series. Go and check those out. I have done how to pop a wheelie and how to push correctly. Go and watch those because it will help you bring up a little bit more confidence. But in the next video, we're going 1 wide and we're going 100 deep because I have got some amazing tips to help you do a wheelie. I don't think that these have been shown on YouTube yet. I am not sure. They might be, but I am quite confident that after watching my video, you will have the tools that you need to be able to do a wheelie. So make sure to subscribe! If you are thinking of choosing a wheelchair, I really hope that this video has helped you. If you have made a bit of a mistake when you chose your wheelchair, please feel free to comment it down below so that anybody who is choosing a wheelchair and watching this video can read through them. It's something that maybe I haven't quite picked up on. Thank you so much for watching, and I really look forward to seeing you